Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the rejection is here. That is right, the Bitcoin dominance is now rejecting from this previous line of support to flip it into new resistance, which is massive news for the overall crypto market. So if you hold any crypto, you have to pay attention to this chart right here. But while this is happening, the Bitcoin price is now bouncing again from this massive line of support, getting closer towards a huge breakout on the larger timeframes. And right now, we are getting closer towards potentially another short squeeze in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now Bitcoin is still obviously in a larger bull market, playing out this bull market signal, so not a lot has changed on this chart over the last one day. So getting straight into this weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now the weekly Bitcoin MACD is still looking bullish overall. We're still sitting in the green, not the red, so we're looking bullish. But with that being said, as I've said recently here on the channel, we have lost a small amount of bullish momentum in this indicator. And if we're looking at the last time this happened after a bullish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD, it was pretty much exactly 1 year ago. And what came next was basically a sideways consolidation in the price of Bitcoin. So not necessarily a crash or anything, but not necessarily a major pump, just a bit of a break during the larger bull run. So ultimately, we continued the bull run later on. We just took a bit of a short-term pause during the bull run. And obviously, just recently, especially over the last couple of weeks here, that is what we have seen in the short term, a bit of a slowdown, just a pause during the larger bullish market. And of course, as I've also mentioned recently here on the channel, we have a possible bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, with higher highs already confirmed in the price of Bitcoin, but lower highs possibly forming in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. But as of right now, that possible bearish divergence that is potentially forming is not currently confirmed. And so overall, on the larger time frames, things are currently looking more bullish than bearish. And if we're looking at this 4-day time frame, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bullish market. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, right now the price of Bitcoin is coming in for another test of this massive Fibonacci level of resistance, sitting at approximately $102,000 per Bitcoin. And so we're getting closer towards that massive breakout into new all-time highs. Because as I've explained recently here on the channel, you can think of resistance as basically a sell wall, where a bunch of people have placed sell orders, for example, or interested in shorting Bitcoin around that level. And so essentially, we need a lot of buyers to come in and buy up all of those sell orders before we can ultimately break out above that level. And so the more we test that level, the more we come up and test 102K, the more we weaken that resistance, because more buy orders come in and basically buy up all of those sell orders, which weakens the sell wall, weakens the resistance, getting closer towards a major breakout. Because oftentimes when there's a lot of sellers around a particular price level on the price chart, also known as resistance, usually just above that point, there's usually not many sellers immediately above the major cluster of sellers. And a good example of that was right around here at this previous resistance at around the low 70K price range, around 72K to 74K approximately. We had a lot of sellers, a lot of resistance around there. But the moment we finally broke out above that level in the price chart, the price exploded to the upside. And this has happened time and time again, as we can see right here and also right here and back here, for example. And so once again, once we finally see that breakout above 102K with confirmation, we'll likely go much higher, and that could happen pretty quickly. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day time frame, a potential price target to pay attention to beyond 102,000, once we see this breakout here, the next price target would be sitting at around 113,000 based on this 2618 Fibonacci extension acting as resistance. And so in other words, we could potentially see a quick $10,000 move towards the upside in the price of Bitcoin once we first confirm a breakout above 102K, because once again, at least for now, just in the short term, that is still currently acting as resistance. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 12-hour time frame, right now we're still bouncing from this line of support, because obviously over the last one day, we saw a little bit of a bear trap here. But if we're adjusting this line of support, this is currently sitting at approximately 97,000. And also right right at around 97,000, we have a massive amount of traded volume in the volume profile indicator, also acting as huge support. So right now, the support to pay attention to is really in between around 96,500 to 98,000. In that area, expect a lot of support. But if we were to see a breakdown with candle closes below, let's just say around 96,000, then in that case, we have a gap in the volume profile indicator, as we could see, which means the price will likely move quickly in this price range. And the next major area of support to the downside is sitting in between around 91 to 92,000. If we were to break back below around 96 to 97,000, which once again, right now, that is acting as support. And so that is the important support and resistance to pay attention to in the shorter term. And overall, things are currently looking more bullish than bearish, especially with this higher low price structure. So ultimately, while we're seeing these higher lows, this increasing demand, soon enough, we will see that major breakout because this is still bullish price structure, pushing the price closer towards that major resistance. And once we eventually confirm that breakout beyond 102,000, then once again, we could potentially have another trading opportunity here, a $10,000 move in the price of Bitcoin, possibly coming next once we see that breakout. And so you have to get set up ready to go if you want to take these trading opportunities. And personally, I've been taking more trades over on Bitnex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitnex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link below this video to make your Bitnex account, you can get a 5.5k deposit bonus, and only if you use that link you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitnex exchange forever. But that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bitnex account and start trading on that account. And by the way, Bitnex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitnex, there is also Bybit, which I also trade on. And if you use the link below this video to Bybit, you can get a 500 USDT position airdrop. So basically a free $500 trade as your first trade over on Bybit, but that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account. But with that being said, taking a quick look at this 12-hour Bitcoin chart, and right now, technically speaking, this bearish divergence on the 12-hour time frame is still currently active. And so ultimately, in order to invalidate this bearish divergence and start flipping much more bullish again in the short term, we would need to see ideally a breakout in the RSI like what we saw last time around 4 years ago. Obviously, I've been comparing the current day price action to what we saw 4 years ago quite a lot recently here on the channel. And so ideally, the signal to watch out for once again would be a breakout in the RSI above this descending line of resistance, which will be an invalidation signal for the bearish divergence. And also at the same time as seeing that breakout in the RSI, if we're confirming a breakout beyond 102,000, of course, that would be a bullish signal. And that would be the signal to basically watch out for to basically set up that next major move towards the upside as we saw around 4 years ago. Because what we saw 4 years ago, once we saw that major breakout beyond $20,000 back then, essentially over the next 1 day or so, we saw around a 15% move towards the upside. So with the current day price action, that would be more than a $10,000 move towards the upside if history were to repeat. And now, of course, it's unlikely we'll see precisely the exact same price action as what we saw last time, but that's just to give you an idea of what could be likely coming soon once we eventually confirm the breakout above 102,000 and ideally see a breakout in the RSI as well to invalidate the bearish divergence. But for now, this bearish divergence is technically still active on the 12-hour chart, which means we could just chop around sideways for a little longer in the shorter term while we're waiting for that major breakout. And while this is happening here in the short term, this is tempting some traders to open shorts positions because what we're seeing in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map is more liquidity still building to the upside above the current price of Bitcoin. So this area is sitting in between around 102,000 to 102,500. And so obviously, as we saw over the last 1 day, we saw a small short squeeze right here. Once the price started to break out above around 99,000, for example, we had some liquidity right there. So some short positions got liquidated in the market right there, pushing the price a little bit higher. But we still have this resistance at around 102k once again. So we stopped at around 102k. But once we can see that breakout, we have more short positions that will get liquidated once we break out above around 102.5k approximately, which will cause another short squeeze, pushing the price higher. And so right now, once again, we have the rocket fuel ready to go. We're just sitting on the launch pad ready to launch. And while we're waiting for that major breakout, once again, the bearish divergence is technically still playing out. But while this is happening, once again, as I said earlier, the more we push up against 102K, the more that weakens that level of resistance. And while this is happening here in the short term, if we're looking at the Bitcoin dominance, we're currently seeing a rejection from this previous line of support to flip it into new resistance. And so obviously, as I've talked about over the last few weeks or so, we've seen a pullback in the Bitcoin dominance. And right now we're currently retesting that previous support to once again flip it into new resistance. And that was sitting at around 57% dominance approximately. And so right now that we're seeing a rejection from this level, this is bearish for the Bitcoin dominance, but good news for the overall crypto market. Because I want to make it clear that this is not the Bitcoin price, this is the Bitcoin dominance. So when the Bitcoin dominance crashes, that is good for the overall crypto market because Bitcoin loses market share, which means the altcoins gain market share. And that almost only happens during a bull market because this is known as an altcoin season. The altcoins are rapidly outperforming Bitcoin during these periods in the market. And so right now seeing a rejection from this resistance, especially if this rejection confirms with a 3-day candle close and ideally a weekly candle close below around 57% dominance, then in that case, once again, it's bearish for the Bitcoin dominance, but very good news for especially the altcoin market, but really the overall crypto market. And so while this is playing out in the short term and potentially in the coming months, leading into a massive altcoin season, we could be set up ready to make life-changing money in the coming months. So definitely make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I will share some trading strategies during this coming altcoin season. And once again, if you want to take these trades in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.